Hey guys, welcome back.
This segment, we're jumping into things with Mr. Tom Sinclair. You might know him from Streaming Idiots or Eastern Shore Broadcasting. He's going to be talking about optimizing your presence on social media.
This is part of Worship Summit Live. We're on our second video, so let's jump into it. Don't forget to get those notes out because we'll have a quiz at the end. Right, welcome back everyone. A good friend of mine, Tom Sinclair, is going to be joining us now. Tom is the official Streaming Idiot. He's also the CEO of Eastern Shore Broadcasting. He's a founding member of his church, Grace Anglican in Fairhope, Alabama. He's helped so many churches get set up with their live streams and their video production technology in their churches. Tom, how are you doing? It's so great to have you on the show today. I can't hear him. Hold on. Mike's got to turn your mic on. We're not hearing you. Oh no. Is he messing with us? We can't hear you, Tom. I don't know why. You got his audio on. Click the audio button. Yeah. Tom, we're not receiving any audio from you. As far as we know, our audio's on. So I don't know if he's going to double check something on his end. Let me just take a moment to thank everybody for joining us. Worship Summit Live could not have happened without all of you. So many amazing churches. Let's take a moment to everyone say hi. Tell me where you're from. Hi, Vic Rodriguez from Texas joining us now. We actually have Madara Logos from Budapest. Yeah, all right, we've got Tom. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. We're going to test.
Is that
Tom?
working?
It's working.
Check 1, 2.
Hi, Tom.
All right. All right. That was a hat tip to test right there.
Yep, I thought you were messing with us for a second there, Tom.
So did I.
Well, Tom, take it away. I'm so glad you're here. As I said, Tom is the leader of Streaming Idiots, which is a hilarious group, but also a very productive group of video production professionals on Facebook. Tom's the CEO of Eastern Shore Broadcasting, the founding member, one of the founding members of his church, Grace Anglican Church in Fairhope, Alabama. Tom, you're going to tell us today about the power of Facebook and social media. For you, it's actually been quite interesting of a story, and I know you've been helping your church and so many others leverage this awesome, new world of social media. I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So I've got 2 hours, right? Okay, should be no problem. We can squeeze it into 2 hours. No, seriously, thank you so much, Paul and Tess, for having me on today. It's a real honor to be here. Eastern Shore Broadcasting, we design and build live streaming gear, mostly PCs using vMix and sell lots of other products. And you'll probably hear from a lot of gear folks today. And so I didn't want to do an ad for our company, but rather I wanted to talk about one of the greatest tools in live streaming for churches. And even though we may not agree with their politics or policies, Facebook is a great way to expand your audience for your live stream in your church and do lots of other good things at the same time. I don't have any PowerPoint notes here today, so you're going to have to take notes the good old-fashioned way. Just write on a piece of paper. And the funny thing is, when you write something down, somehow that indwells it in your memory a little more deeply than just hearing it, even if you never refer to your notes again. So I encourage you to take some notes. Okay, Facebook. What is Facebook? Well, you know what Facebook is. We don't have to go there. But does your church have a Facebook page? If it doesn't, it needs to. Are you streaming to your church's Facebook page? If you're not, you need to. Why? Because everybody's on Facebook. I would bet certainly more than half of your congregation is on Facebook, has a Facebook page. Probably more than half, maybe 90%. And the idea is some of it is evangelism, but some of it is not. My pastor believes that every member of our congregation is a pastor in and of themselves, and that each of us have our own congregation, our friends, our family, our acquaintances, our business associates, our old high school buddies, all those people, a lot of which we're still connected to on Facebook. And that's our congregation. Those are the people that we influence, whether we intend to or not, with our actions and our words and our attitudes. Okay, so and that already exists. That you don't have to build that. That's already there. You've been building it all your life. But it's transferred to Facebook now, and it's easier for those people to see you than it ever has been before. And so we have a strategy to leverage that. Before I go there, let me go down one little rabbit hole and go back to live streaming. Yeah, you may be live streaming to YouTube. You may be live streaming to a third-party provider and embedding it on your church's website. But those YouTube, your own live stream on some other network embedded in your church's website, those are not going to meet your congregation's viewing needs, because my neighbor down the street that I'm friends with on Facebook is not going to go to my church's website to watch the Sunday morning stream. But here's the play. Every morning, maybe not in your church, and maybe not in my church every Sunday morning, but a lot of Sunday mornings, somebody's going to stand up and they're going to say, don't forget to mute your cell phone. Or maybe there's an announcement board up in the front of the church that says, don't forget to silence your cell phone. That's the time at which you can gently encourage members of your congregation to take out and they're allowed to use their cell phone in church, take out their cell phone, go into Facebook, go into what's on your mind, and check in. And they can check in there at the church. And hopefully if they do the check-in tab, let's see, I'll do my check-in tab. Yeah, there it is. Grace Anglican Church. It's right there. I could check in. I'm not there now, but I could. All right. So and that's all we're asking folks to do. It's not like we're asking them to go knock on doors in their neighborhood and go through the 4 spiritual laws with somebody or something like that. All we're asking is for them to check in on Facebook. Well, what's going to happen when I check in on Facebook? I'll tell you what's going to happen. Certain numbers of my friends are going to say, Tom Sinclair in church? Oh my gosh. I can't believe a church would have him. I remember that guy way back when. Or that's my neighbor up the street and he goes to church. I didn't know that. Ooh, boy, that says something about my witness. But the idea is that all of a sudden these people say, Tom Sinclair's in church. Now, I'm not taking a flag and having a parade with confetti and announcing I'm going to church. I'm just checking in. I do it every Sunday. I check in when I go to a restaurant, when I go on vacation. I want to impress with all my friends where I'm gone. I'm checking in. Why not check in at church? So my long-lost high school buddy or my neighbor down the street see that I'm checking in at church. And they're going, okay, what kind of church would have him? I'm going to take a look. And so they click that link to the church's Facebook page. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. And then maybe they scroll down a little bit. One of the first things they scroll down a little bit is, that's right, your live stream. And who doesn't want to take a peek at what's going on? So they press the little play button and pow, they are suddenly now in the back row of your church seeing what's going on. And maybe they're that neighbor down the street and is thinking, I need to get to church. That's a good New Year's resolution. And they're saying, this is an interesting church. Is it safe? Is there an open seat for me? Do I like the colors and the lighting scheme? Is the sound good? All those things just got to go through your mind immediately, almost unconsciously. And then it's like, okay, do I like the way the people look? Do they look like me? Would I feel comfortable there? Are there kids there? I hate kids or I love kids, whatever the case may be with kids. I love kids. And we won't go down the kid rabbit hole, but you go to the Zoom room and you want to hear about my experience with kids after this presentation, I'd be happy to go with you. Paul and Tess, I don't have a clock going up here, so I'm appreciate if you give me like a 5-minute, 10-minute warning, something like that. Okay, so they're taking a peek into my church and they're looking to see what's there. and they're deciding, is this a safe place? Maybe I'd like to visit here. Or maybe they're a little late to the party. Maybe I checked in 30 minutes ago and they just decided to pick up their phone and look. And boom, when they go into the live stream, they're in the middle of the message. All right, freeze frame right there. All right, let's take that whole discussion and we're going to set it aside for just 1 second. They have just freeze framed into the message. All right, so we're going to pause that. My belief is this grand live streaming thing is not something that we invented. It's something that we discovered. Big difference. The Lord God himself put all that technology out there for us to discover, to put pieces together like a giant Lego set, his pieces, not ours. And it's no surprise to him that we are live streaming church services today. I believe it was part of his will. It was part of his intention that this would happen. Now, every church is going to have to grapple with that on their own as to whether they want to embrace live streaming and how they do it and the rules they have for it. And, is there anybody in the church that's in a federal witness protection program or, on the run from an abusive spouse, that kind of thing. Yeah, you got to deal with all that. Absolutely. You got to deal with people that don't want to be seen for whatever reason, but you can deal with that because I believe it is God's will for churches to live stream so that other people, the people that are sitting in the seat, remember those pastors sitting in all the seats that have their own congregations in various places so that their congregations, or some of them, can have a peek. All right, let's go back to this situation here. Our friend has just pressed play 30 minutes in. The pastor, they're giving their message, and you know how this works, right? It's like when you turn on the TV or turn on the radio or open up the Bible, and suddenly there is right in front of you that word that you needed for that day, for that minute, for your life. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to. Do we care if the person ever visits your church? Well, sure we do, but not really in the great grand scheme of things. What we care about is the kingdom. And this is a great way to plug ourselves in to a network. And I'm not talking about an internet network. I'm talking about a higher plane network where the word is shared all sorts of different ways. Now, that person, that old high school buddy that plops into that and he hears that message and that goes into his heart and produces fruit for him, we hope. Maybe that'll circle back around and bless that church at some point. Maybe it won't. It doesn't really matter at that point. My neighbor down the street, he's going to take a peek. He's going to look and see. He's going to see this is a church Tom Sinclair goes to. So there's somebody that I know there already. What's the number one way that people end up in a church? They get invited by somebody they know. But some of us are shy. Some of us are bashful. Some of us are not going to go down the street and invite our neighbor to church on Easter or Christmas or whatever it might be. But this is a great way where everybody can feel comfortable, non-threatening, a great way to share that with their congregation, with their congregation, and all good things happen from that. Now, we'll set that just aside here for a second, and we'll talk about why you should live stream at all. If you're not live streaming, why should you live stream? Why should you live stream? Because I'll give you a financial reason. Because some of the biggest givers of your church probably can't make it to church anymore because they're in their 80s and they're not driving or they're homebound or whatever. And they're going to leave you a chunk of money in their will if they can stay connected to you. And all they need is a tablet and Facebook and they can see you. That's a great reason from a financial standpoint. But what about the moms and dads that are home with sick kids? What about the moms and dads that are traveling and on business or pleasure, or they're on duty overseas somewhere? suddenly they can stay plugged in, they can stay connected in a way that they never could before. What about people that used to live in your town and used to belong to your church, and now they've gone somewhere else and they're struggling with finding a new church like the one they loved back in sweet little Fairhope, Alabama? Well, they can still join in. It's so fun for me as the person that does most of the live streaming at my church. And we don't have a big church and we don't have a big live streaming setup. We've got one camera. You don't need a whole lot to get started. But it gives me a whole lot of pleasure and satisfaction on a Sunday morning while I'm monitoring the Facebook live stream and the comments that are being made there and the number of people that are popping in, because Facebook will tell you if somebody's watching your live stream. And you can see that it's having an effect. My pastor forwarded an email to me the other day from one of our distance viewers. They were from Missouri or Montana or one of those M states. And they were just talking about how important it was for them to get this connection on Sunday mornings, and that they hoped we would continue to live stream, and that it was really, really important. And the pastor said, and oh, by the way, Tom, they're making a donation through PayPal, which is something we set up on the church's website. And not that we're doing it for the donation, but that just sort of tells you the full circle of what's happening. We're able to bless somebody and they're able to bless us in return. What else? Paul or Tess, do we have some questions in chat? I mean, that's really my gig right there. That's my whole deal. I can try to expand it and fill in dead air, but the idea is that your church is live streaming to Facebook because everybody's on Facebook. When you say, oh, well, we're doing YouTube, Tom, YouTube's the #2 search engine. Yeah, well, nobody's going to be searching for your church at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. And it's not certainly going to pop up in front of them like it is when I check in and all of a sudden my buddy's like, oh, yeah. He's there. I remember Tom Sinclair from high school. I remember Tom Sinclair from college. Oh my gosh, he goes to church. I can't imagine what that church is like. Paul, I know that's what people say about you when you check in on Sunday morning. They're like, Paul Richards, I remember that guy.
Now you're scaring me because I haven't been to church in about a month or two because I just had a baby. And, my wife's scared that our new baby Madeline's going to be crying all through service, but I will be checking in soon enough. I feel it's funny, but yeah, no, I agree. And,
true confessions. There we go. Yep,
I don't check in enough. And I love that. I love that idea. And I brought it up with our, I don't actually help with the live stream either with 3 kids. I would probably be taking the stream down. I have to help. I have 3 kids. So I've got two I have to keep in the pews. And, my little baby, Madeline, is 2 months old. So, I'm worried for volunteering I haven't been able to do as much as I'd like to with the stream, but, you're right. And I love that tip of having everybody check in. It's so personal, yet the whole experience is something that folks want to share. And all of those friends and family immediately see that someone they know and love is in the midst of worship. And that is possible without a live stream, but to have the live stream there then has the window into the church for the audience. And that's what really brings people. I think there's a lot of people, and myself included, during some parts of my life where I wasn't sure if I wanted to, go, which church, my church shopping, which do I feel comfortable going into, this one or that one. And, having that live window to see what's going on is a very easy way for someone to take that first peek and decide whether they want to go in and meet everybody.
Yep, absolutely.
Here's a question for
you, Tom. All right,
Tom.
let's see. Yes, read it to me.
Can you speak to how you are using giving options on your Facebook live stream? This is a good question.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. We're not. Very simply, we're not. Facebook does allow for donations, I think, to a cause through Facebook, but I don't know that they allow charitable donations to an organization. At least that's the way it was the last time I checked it. I haven't checked it recently.
I did a little research on this, and there's actually a chapter in my book about it. You know, and this book is free, so you can read about it. Basically, you must register your Facebook page as a 501c nonprofit organization. And that is true on Facebook and YouTube. So they're handled a little differently, and I outline it all in the book. But once you're registered as a 501c nonprofit with Facebook, obviously your church should already have that paperwork in place with the United States and the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. Once all of that is complete, all you got to do is just make sure Facebook and YouTube know that. Now, on the Facebook side, once your page is set up properly, as soon as you tag yourself, right, your church in the Facebook post, it will automatically say, "Would you like to add a donate button?" And so, in my testing and experience, not a lot of people are going to hit that donate button unless you prompt them to do so. So on Facebook, if they donate, or if you ask them to donate, you know, it could be as simple as a PowerPoint slide or asking the pastor to address the online audience. People will donate if you ask them, and then you can show their comments like we're doing now that says, "Hey, this person just donated," you know, on the Facebook or YouTube stream. YouTube's a little different. On YouTube, you can add a card, and that's anybody, any YouTube. Tom, you could do this on your personal page so that you could, you know, when you're streaming on your personal page, you can actually accept donations on behalf of a 501c. So it's a little differences, but yeah, it's a great question.
Great question. Very good. Thank you, Paul. Other questions? I'm also in favor. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and pop it up, Mike, when you can. I'm also in favor of using the PayPal on your church's website, because that's something that will be there. And the website is kind of internet real estate that the church owns. Church doesn't own Facebook. Church doesn't own YouTube. If they change their policies, suddenly something can go away that used to be there that you depended on. But your website, you have control over. And if you can manage that, I think you really do want to end up drawing people to your own real estate, but you're using Facebook and YouTube as a way to bring them in to that real estate. Next question. Good question.
So copyright law is different in different places. So anything said here might not apply to your jurisdiction. He's not a lawyer, but he wanted to ask a little bit about the copyright laws on Facebook and YouTube. It seems to come up quite a lot, Tom. What is your experience there?
Oh boy, yeah. Copyright is a whole subject in and of itself. Suffice to say, it probably doesn't matter whether you have the rights to live stream a pre-recorded message from the original artist or your own version of that. You're probably going to get tagged, spanked by Facebook or YouTube the first couple times around until you go through the process of getting that license submitted. For one-shot deals, I remember we did a Christmas show for a local church, for a local school, not this past Christmas, but the year before, and they used a lot of pre-recorded music in it. And Facebook recognized that music during the course of the live stream and cut the audio, and then picked it back up later when that copyrighted material had passed through. So, your results will vary on using copyrighted material. YouTube is a little bit more forgiving. They will let it stream, but they will give you a copyright warning or a copyright strike, or they may have one of their thousands of YouTube bots that are going through looking for things that might contain something that they can make a copyright claim on. I think our church gets flagged on YouTube every week for copyright. And basically that means that we can't monetize our YouTube page. So we can't run an ad that we make 3 cents on or something like that. So not that we would want to anyway. So we pretty much ignore it. But you need to go by the law. Whatever the law is in your area, you need to go by the law as the CCLI is the licensing body for a lot of Christian music. So if you're using pre-recorded Christian music or your own versions of it, you can probably get a live streaming license from CCLI.
Here's a question for you, Tom. This is an easy one. It comes from James Williamson. He's asking, how are we connected right now? And he was asking, how are we connected to do this call?
It's magic. It just happens. You know, it's amazing. No, you guys are using one of my favorite pieces of software, as am I, called vMix. And built into vMix is a thing like Skype that allows us to establish a video call. And I'm sending you 1080p video at 4 megabits per second, or whatever the live streaming rate is. And so it should give you a pretty darn clean image. And I think, Paul, of course, y'all are using vMix today. Are you using vMix today on my favorite PC?
We are. We actually are using a PC that Tom built for us. Our PC has 8 SDI inputs. So we've got 8 cameras in the studio, and there's Mike producing. You can see the computer there. It's a little bit of a mess. I wish we had it a little cleaner, but you can see we've got some cable loom there, and we've been trying to keep it nice.
All right.
Trying to make sure we answer all these questions. I want to mention that right now, Barry Hill, who had such a great presentation, that's him live right there. He's in the Zoom conference call answering questions. Tom is going to go there soon as well, so that we can, if there's sometimes more questions than we can answer, Tom will join there as well, and you have a chance to chat with him kind of more one-on-one. That's been a really great experience over there. And there's some more questions coming in. Some folks from out of state, and they're out of the United States, and they say they don't have 501Cs. I'm assuming that Google and Facebook have a way of dealing with that. That just applies for the United States. A lot of churches saying that they have donate buttons going out on every Facebook live stream. That's the Bethlehem Lutheran Church. I believe that is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where I went to school. And we're actually going to talk with another Lutheran church in just a moment here, Tom. I almost wonder if you could do the introduction to Alan Bunt, who's going to be, you actually know Alan quite well. You guys work together, right?
I have been working with Al for probably 7 or 8 years. Al was one of my first clients and one of my first guests on my very first live stream show back in 2012, when we were talking about live streaming. Al knows more about live streaming than most people on the face of the earth, because he's broken more things and had to learn how to fix them, because he's way up in Wisconsin, in the middle of nowhere. And Al is going to tell you guys his story today of starting out live streaming. I think it was like, 8 or 9 years ago, with just minimal equipment, whatever he could get his hands on, and then building. And probably the most impressive part about Al's story, and I hope he'll share it with you, is the community that has built around Good Shepherd Lutheran Church outside of the bounds of the church. I think his average Sunday attendance on the live stream is equal to the average Sunday attendance in the pews. And in his faith tradition, they do communion periodically. And so they know who all their remote members are. And so they'll send them a communion kit by mail, so that when they celebrate communion there in the church on Sunday, the folks that are watching the live stream can do the same thing. Isn't that cool? I think that's really great. And Al's got all sorts of ideas like that and has done a great job. His son Michael is joining with him in the live stream, so a big shout out to Michael. And they're just doing great things there at Good Shepherd Lutheran. Yep, that's my intro for Al.
That's a wrap for Tom's segment. Thank you so much. Tom is such a great guy, and we got some great tidbits for Facebook and all things social media with him.
Next, we're going to talk with Alan Bunt from Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. in Wisconsin area. He's going to show us his full live streaming system and kind of the transition over the past 5 years of what he's learned about live streaming and video production. Don't forget to take notes, guys, because we'll have a quiz at the end.